Hello and welcome to another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 421.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of the show. We are the Family Gamers. As always, I am your host, Andrew, and I am joined by my lovely and wonderful wife, Anitra.
That's me.
This week on episode 421, we are going to talk about what to look for in a game. So we make a lot of game recommendations,
Yeah.
but we don't actually very often look at games on shelves in stores and try to figure out what to buy for someone or for ourselves.
Yeah. There have been a few instances of that for us recently, and it has made us think about what sort of things do you consider when you're buying a game for someone? Or even if you're buying a game for your own family, that's not just, oh, this is new and hot and it sounds good, let me get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for a lot of people that listen to this show, we hear about the games that are coming out and then we make a decision about the game based on what we hear about the game and then we move on with our lives.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a subset of people where they're window shopping for a game.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is talk about 5 things to specifically look for in a game when you are considering that game, again, either for your own family or as a gift to give to someone. Look, the top hits on our website consistently are top 10 games for whatever age group.
Mm-hmm.
People are shopping for games. And so what we thought we would do on this episode is just kind of give you 5 things to consider. We'll talk a little bit about each one of them. Maybe my opinion is very slightly different from Anitra's. But before we get into that, of course, we have the first half of the show. I'm going to start us off with a fact. One of the things, by the way, people probably don't know this. I've kind of mentioned this every once in a while. One of the things that I do when I'm looking for a good fact for our number is I go to Board Game Geek. And one thing that you probably don't know, but maybe you do, is if you pull up any board game, the URL is boardgamgeek.com/boardgame/a/the name of the game. So every single game in Board Game Geek has a number associated with it.
Yeah. An ID number, if you will.
Yeah. And so every time I'm looking for a fact, I always plug in the next number to see if it's anything that I actually know.
I plugged it in this time and I was like, oh, hey, I know that game. And in fact, it is in the top 400 games of all time, according to BGG.
Most importantly, this is an Avalon Hill game. It is arguably one of the most famous 18xx games, possibly the 18xx game that really kind of started the whole 18xx thing.
Yeah, and although it's 40 years old, it's still kind of mostly in print.
Yep. So this is 1830 Railways and Robber Barons. We're not going to talk that much about this game. This is a very complicated game.
Very complicated
It's
game.
Weight 4.17. This is not really the kind of game that we talk about on the Family Gamers podcast, but it is a notable game in the hobby, designed by Bruce Shelley and Francis Tresham. If you know this game, if you love this game, we'd love it if you talked about it on our Discord or in the Family Gamers community and just kind of give your thoughts about it. But that's my fact this week. Not super deep or anything, amazing or shocking or whatever. But Board Game Geek, board game number 421, 1830, Railways and Robber Barons.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because it's pretty much the game that kicked off the 18xx series.
Yep.
And I've got a message from our sponsor. Did you know one of the biggest risks to retirement is called the sequence of return risk? If you aren't depositing or withdrawing from an account, the sequence of returns don't matter. Sequence of returns is when is the market positive, when is the market negative. When you're not adding or subtracting anything from your account, all that actually matters is the average return in any given length of time. But when you are making withdrawals, it can significantly hurt how long your money will last if, just before you start making those withdrawals, you see major down markets. That's because as soon as you withdraw, now there's less money in the account to experience an eventual upswing and help the account recover from the losses. Conversely, if you're making deposits into a retirement account, it's better for you if the sequence starts with some losses so that your early deposits have a lower starting price and can better experience the recovery. That's a lot to take in, and it's just one financial fact. So whether you're trying to figure out how to start saving for your future or trying to decide if you can still afford to retire, First Move can help you. To set up either a 15-minute phone call or a 90-minute meeting, go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers today.
Thanks so much to the team at First Move for sponsoring another episode of the show.
All right, so it's been an incredibly busy 2 weeks, but we have managed to play a few games.
I have played 3 games in the last 2 weeks.
I mean, that's a couple.
No, it's 3. 3 is not a couple.
One more than a couple?
We are a couple. There is no third person.
Fair.
That's 3.
All right, well, let's see. I played some Aspens with the Majestic Marvels expansion
I really like this game a lot.
with Asher. Man, I'm beginning to think that I like Aspens better without the expansion because I'm really bad at it with the expansion, and I'm not so bad at it without it. But I do like that the expansion makes the game significantly shorter and kind of shortcuts a bunch of the stuff you might otherwise be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely need to play it some more with this Marvels and get better at paying attention to all the various areas of the map and not letting them be taken away from me.
Yeah, I mean, without it seeming like it dramatically affects the game, it dramatically affects the game.
It dramatically affects the game.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see what else. You played with me and Asher A Place for All My Books.
I did. It's a cute game. I guess I would say that it does a very good job of, I mean, it's very different from Creature Comforts, but it reminds me of Creature Comforts in the way that it is a very cute kind of worker placement game with various different, I don't want to call them quests that you're trying to complete, but various different goals that you're trying to complete and move on and do the next thing. One thing I liked about this game was that you accomplish a 2-dimensional goal. Actually, they're 3-dimensional goals in some cases.
In some cases.
And then you move on and you don't have to maintain that configuration while you do the next thing and the next thing, right?
Yes.
It's not like you have to balance this careful configuration and select what you're going to score at the end of the game. I actually like that about this game a fair bit.
You do sometimes have to balance what things you're going to score in a given round, like a given scoring session.
And that's fine. And I think that's fine because I think that's part of the strategy of it all. But
Yeah.
you don't have to continually add things to the pile of things that you need to keep in tension.
Yes,
As you go
correct.
along in the game, which just makes the game progressively more stressful if you do have to do that. And in this game, you don't.
Yeah,
So
it shouldn't ever be
it.
too much at once.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the kind of introvert that this game is like really designed to hit the pleasure
No, you're
centers
definitely
of,
not.
right? Like, so there's a lot of, this game is all pastels and it's just very soft and unassuming. And like, I understand why it is that way, but that part of it was just to me like, you know, I mean, it made a lot of the art feel a little bland.
I can see that.
You know, it's very low contrast. Like the art is fine and it looks nice, but the color selection makes it very low contrast, which in some cases can translate as kind of bland just because of the color palette. That make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that's something. Look, if you put this on the shelf and it's like Marvel Legendary and Flamecraft and Tidal Blades and A Place for All My Books, right? It's not going to stand out. It's just not.
It's well done, but it's not like a super gorgeous game.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I do really like the wooden books that you pick
they're
up and
nice.
stack. And they're all nicely screen printed, and we have the regular people edition, no deluxeified anything. So the wooden books are really nice. And it's a good thing because you do spend a lot of time stacking and unstacking the books. They're probably the piece you touch the most in the game, other than your own personal meeple. So I like that a lot. Getting to play it with 3 players helped me appreciate better how you really can't afford to be mean in this game. It's not that the game prevents you from being mean. It's that it basically never makes sense to do the few mean things you could do, hate drafting kind of thing.
Sure.
There's always going to be more productive things for you to do on your own. But it does it without preventing you from interacting with the other players, but it's more of like a planning around what other players are doing rather than a direct interaction.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's by design, right? That's the introvert of it all.
Yeah, exactly.
There really isn't a way to deliberately attack in this game.
No.
Right? This is a sort of one of those side-by-side solo games, although there is a central board on which you can take part in certain activities. And so there are obviously times when various worker placement actions become progressively more valuable to the point where clearly somebody is going to take this.
Right.
And being opportunistic may cause someone else to, air quote, lose out. But that's an introvert going to a bookstore and somebody already bought their book. That's actually literally exactly what it is.
Pretty much. There's also, I forget what they're called now, but like the special items, the other stuff or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And same thing. Like you can go to that store and as soon as you buy something there, the whole store resets.
Sure.
So you can go get something and not even get everything there just because you think the other stuff there is too valuable to let someone else have.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still a moving forward towards your own goals while maybe also making things harder for other people. But
Sure.
the main reason to do it is always going to be to advance your own goals. And
Sure.
it's never going to be to block somebody else.
Yeah, there's not enough economy in this game to give you the opportunity to do that and still be effective.
Yeah.
Look, I think the game is nice. You know, this is sort of the way I felt about Creature Comforts. It's nice. I think that this is a unique theme in that it is very clearly targeted to a specific demographic,
Yeah.
which I would argue on the Venn diagram of board gamers has a pretty significant overlap.
Yeah.
So
agree.
I think it will be very appealing in that way. Not to ruin something that's coming later, but one of our things that we'll be talking about is theme. And I think here, theme could play a major part. This is a game that I think you could find in a bookstore, not like a Barnes & Noble that has a bunch of games, like as sort of a unique offering that the bookstore sells is this game that happens to be all about books, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So I think that's its opportunity to stand out.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we're going to be doing a formal review of
Sure.
A Place for All My
Yep.
Books eventually. And I think the biggest thing we can say for this game is it is themed very, very well. And with the art and the theme and the way it all fits together, it's very well targeted to a specific audience.
Sure.
That's the short version. I also played Mission to Planet Hex. Our son pulled this out when we had some downtime. And he was like, hey, it's been a while since we played this. And I was like, hey, sounds great. I mean, we gave it to you as a gift. Happy to play it with you. Mission to Planet Hex is just incredibly goofy with goofy science fiction theming. You have to be okay with a lot of weird luck-based stuff going on in the game. But that said, almost every game of this I've ever played over the last, 8 years now, has felt fairly close when the end comes. So even though there's that disappointment that can come with a very lucky game of like, man, I'm trying to make my plans, and then you just swooped in, like you went over to this completely other place, you didn't even interfere with me, and you got everything you needed, whatever. It still is well balanced in that doing something like that may be a temporary setback, but probably will not cost you the game. So continue to enjoy Mission to Planet Hex, but you have to be ready for that very swingy kind of luck feeling and extremely goofy science fiction references everywhere.
Sure.
I think we also played another game of Got 5. Just one game of it this time, not 3 or 4 in a row.
Sure.
That was fun. This is going to be an incredibly easy game in our family to pull out and play when we want something that's going to be 10 minutes long.
I am in favor of playing this game at all times because I almost always win.
You do almost always win. I am getting to the point that I'm finding it very frustrating, but I understand it's also...
When I play or just in general?
When you play.
Oh, I see.
But I also understand that is the nature of the game and you are just better at narrowing down the numbers faster. I don't know if you're doing bubble sort or what, but...
I mean, I could walk you through my process.
That was a deep cut for you programmers.
Yeah, I could walk you through my process sometime. I mean, I don't think I'm doing anything particularly amazing.
You're just doing it a little bit more efficiently than I do. Every time.
Okay.
Every time.
Okay. One time I lost because I guessed wrong.
But not to me. It's fine. I still enjoy the game. I am happy to play it once or twice, just not 4 times.
Sure, that's fair.
I also played some more Santorini with our son during some other downtime. Santorini continues to amaze me with how much the god powers change up the strategy of the game. Because the game should be the same every time. You're building, you're moving, you're building, you're moving. And you're trying to get one of your guys up on top of a building. Like, that is the entire game. But the god powers do so many different things that you have to think constantly about how you want to use the power that you have and how to try to prevent your opponent from using their power in a way that would get them to win, basically. I got myself maneuvered into a very bad spot pretty quickly in this particular game because I was not thinking all of those aspects through. So it goes.
All right, next we have Tag Team, which we played on our breakfast date. This game, I just bounce off this game almost every time I play it. Like, there is so much in this game that I see and I like, and then I play it and I just get so frustrated.
Yes, you do.
With this game. And I don't really know why.
So we discussed this when we had our date, and I think it is the aspect that feels like luck, but is really just not necessarily understanding how a character works well. But
Maybe
it
because
feels,
there's like 8 characters in the box, and I played the game 3 times.
but it feels like luck because you don't have a good idea of like, oh, if I'm using this character, it's going to be really hard to attack with them. They're mostly, defense and whatever. So I need to pair them up with another character that works well or whatever. Like, I think there is a bit of frustration there in that it's hard to say when you're unfamiliar with these characters, like who's going to be really effective at attacking, who's going to be sneaky, who's going to do this. It's the kind of thing that, unlike maybe a Dice Throne or an Unmatched, you can't just power through and attack the other person anyway, because you're always bound by the cards that you're drawing and adding to your deck, because that's how tag team works.
Is there a cookbook in the rule book of like, here's 10 different combos and why we suggest them? Like, if you like this kind of thing, you might like this combo of characters. I think that would help a lot.
No, there's suggested starting ones when you're learning.
But those are
game,
individual, but it's not about the complementing.
Well, it's
of
a
each
pair,
other, right?
It's
suggested
start
starting
with this pair, start with this pair.
I see. But not why? Just start with this pair? Because they're
Pretty
easy
much.
to play with?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I mean,
Still
though.
not
Like,
why, though.
the why of it all is the important part.
Yeah. I think you would need to sit down with the character book and really look into what each character is intended to do before you can pair them up together.
See, like,
Because that's the other thing is, for you, even with the suggested starting pairs, you struggled, and I think it's because you wanted to make the characters do something they weren't going to be good at doing, and then you were just getting really frustrated, like, why can't I attack with this guy? Why can't I attack with this guy? Well, because he doesn't really have attack cards. You're supposed to use them to support the other guy.
yeah, I guess. I don't know. But I feel with this the same way that people started to feel about the Marvel movies. Like, I don't want to do my homework so that I can play a board game.
Yeah.
I don't have the mental capacity to do that. Right?
Yeah.
I want to sit down and I want to play the game, and like, learning the rules is enough for me. If I have to do research beforehand, like, this is why I don't play Magic anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't have the patience for it because I don't have the time for it because I have too many other things that I'm doing. So I don't know, man. If that's what's necessary, I just think I'm going to keep bouncing off the game, but I'll keep giving it a shot.
I mean, I don't feel like I do a lot of research, but also I don't know if I'm a little bit more flexible than you are, or
Well,
I'm
that's,
just...
I mean, yes. Unless we're talking about physical flexibility, in which case I'm more
not
flexible
physical
than you.
flexibility
But
at all.
no, I mean, that's absolutely true. I'm far more headstrong than you are.
And so I just I usually cotton on pretty quickly, not necessarily how my two characters are going to interact, but what each one is strong at.
Yeah. Like, we played, I was...
Because
like,
I'm definitely playing it fairly by intuition and making some really terrible choices sometimes.
Well, I was, a Mordred the Black Knight or whatever he was,
Yeah.
right? For the first, 8 turns of the game, he just, sits there and sucks hits. Like, it was miserable.
And I'm sure some of that was the cards you were drawing, right? You just weren't drawing
I
anything.
have no idea, but he's
helped it.
got to get, a certain amount of existential dread or whatever his problem was. I don't even know. Until he's like, never mind, I'm just going to hit you really hard. And then I still almost won the game, but it was so deeply unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So.
But, and this goes, to the theme thing that I mentioned before. Like, if that were the Hulk, if it was Bruce Banner getting more and more, which is that bear guy, that's basically his thing, what's coming. And it would feel better. You know what I mean? So to your point of knowing the characters better, I mean, obviously in this case, that would have helped.
I think for me, Tag Team falls above Dice Throne, but not by much. And I'm not talking about Marvel Dice Throne. I'm just straight up Dice Throne. All of these games that have their own cast of made up characters, I understand why they do it, and I have nothing against it. But once you've got more than 3 or 4 of them, I'm just gonna pick one and go for it over and over again and ignore everybody else.
Yeah, because there's too much noise.
It's too much.
There's too much noise,
Yeah.
right? This is one of the things about leaders that was so good. The only thing you have to know about leaders is one line, and that line is an ability. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And it's a tactical ability. It's not this deep strategic thing. You know what I mean? But even that, there were so many characters all right, I got to figure this stuff out. And this is the problem that I'm having right now with Icor or or however you say that.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of
similar
thing.
Stuff going
if
on.
I'm going to play a game like that, I'm going to play chess, and I'm going to play it over and over and over again because I've been around for 1,000 years or whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's too much noise. There's just too much.
Yeah. So I think for the two of us as a couple, we are starting to kind of bounce off that kind of game in general, where there's just a plethora of characters and you need to know what all of them do to sit down and play the game even once. And it's just too much.
Just too much work. I do enough work at work.
I will say, in contrast, play something like Boop, right? Where, well, Boop, there aren't any characters at all. It's just cat.
Sure.
Kitten and cat.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't want to get too far down this road for a couple of reasons. Number one, we do still have to do our monthly report.
Yes.
And number two, we're getting dangerously close to my backtalk question for next week. So
okay, fair enough. So let's talk about the last game we played then. I finally got a chance to sit down and show you Adventurous.
Yeah, I just need to play this game more. I mean, this was very much a learning game for me.
Yes.
Cool concept. I really like a lot of the ideas in this game. It reminded me a lot of, do you remember the game Dark Cloud, the video game Dark Cloud, where you have to build your town? And, you know, I think we actually talked about this on the last episode or something like that. There's been a lot of this kind of stuff coming up.
We talked about it a little while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that.
So Adventurous is a button shy solo/cooperative game. And the idea is that you, and however many people you have, are like adventurers, sailors.
Adventurous people.
You're kind of like Jason and the Argonauts.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
But that's a different game that's coming out next year.
I know. Or Odysseus or
Sure.
whatever. Like you are sailing around the unexplored sea. You are looking for awesome things and you are finding both awesome things and terrible things. The way it works out, every turn you are either contributing to the path, which will also put more symbols out on the various cards, or you are placing a marvel. And every marvel has specific requirements of symbols it must cover. Being an 18-card game, one side of each card is map cards, the other side is marvels. You pick 5 at the beginning of the game to be the marvels that will be the marvels for that game. And then you're off to the races with the rest of the map cards. It's a really tight placement kind of a puzzle where I'm beginning to realize now the order you place stuff down can really matter a lot. Most of the other button shy placement type stuff I've done, order doesn't feel nearly as important. You have what you have when you have it, and you got to figure out where to put it. But with Adventurous, you always have 2 map cards that you're choosing to place down. And instead of placing down map cards, you could do a marvel. But like, you're not allowed to ever overlap a marvel. And you have to place the map cards down in very specific ways to continue the path. And so there's a lot more flexibility, but that also leads to harder choices, I think, in what you're going to place and where.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to that. I mean, I think you did a pretty good job describing it.
The last thing I'll say is it cracked me up that in showing this to you, again, on a breakfast date, I was like, yeah, you know, it sprawls out a little bit, but it's really not that bad. And I think if we put it over here, it's going to be fine. And we ended up with the most sprawling map version of this I've ever had in like the 5 or 6 times I've played it so far.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's another one where the review will be coming up pretty soon because I've already played it a bunch and now I see what it plays like when you have more than one person. So, yeah, moving on to monthly report.
Yeah, I think it's time.
Oh, boy.
Mine is not impressive. So I will just knock this out.
All right,
In
April 2026.
April, I played 9 games 14 times.
All right.
For an H index of 1.
Yeah, I played 16 games 25 times. I do have an H index of 3, though.
Yeah, I played 8 games 1 time and 1 game 6 times.
Is the game that you played 6 times got 5?
Yes.
That makes sense. Because that's the highest one on my list as well. The other games I played more than once were A Place for All My Books and Adventurous.
Right. Yeah. It was a rough month for everybody. So,
yeah.
I don't really have anything else to add to that. So we'll just move on. How do you like that?
Yeah, I think we just move on.
All right, great. Let us go over to the Family Gamers community and welcome our newest community members. Pretty excited about this. We have a good list this week.
Quite a list.
Mm-hmm.
So much that I needed to make the smiling sloth from Zootopia be our GIF of the week. He smiles very slowly, which might be enough time for us to say all these names.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Zach.
Welcome to Bert.
Welcome to Kaylee.
And Krista.
Welcome to Daniel.
Welcome to Corey.
Welcome to Gabor.
Welcome to Sasha.
Welcome to Liz.
Welcome to Cameron.
Welcome to Patty. And it was 3 smiles from the sloth.
All right.
So thanks so much for joining the community. We really appreciate you all coming. We got some great posts in the community this week about people looking for games, looking for recommendations, and really appreciate folks in the community weighing in to give some guidance. So that's exactly what we're all here for. And I was traveling this week, and Anitra was home alone with the kids. So we really appreciate everybody else picking up what we dropped.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, that's why we're a community.
It takes a village.
Speaking of community, let's talk about the back talk we had about gamifying things. Only in the Discord this time.
We didn't have anything on Facebook, huh?
Nothing on Facebook.
Thanks for nothing, Facebook people. I'm just kidding.
We still love you.
I will get it started with Peter Schott, who says, I've tried in the past, but it's been hard to make that stick. I can appreciate the context, but I think there's still a social aspect to gamification to help make it stick. I mean, that's the leaderboard part of the social thing, right? I know, quote, nerd fitness is a thing, but without that community, it's hard to keep motivated. We also tend to be pretty bad at setting those goals to get us moving in small steps. We want to reach the final level or boss right away, even though in games we know we have to grind to get to that point.
A couple of different people talked about using the Zombies Run app. I don't think you ever used that one, right? You used something else.
I used Couch to 5K.
Yeah.
And in that, one of the coach voices is a zombie.
Okay.
So
a little different, but
it's a little bit
idea.
different. But yeah, same idea.
Ken Walter describes using that app and says you would pick up supplies on your run and have to run faster when the zombies were chasing you.
I mean, I think that's just interval training, right? That's really all it is. It's trying to twist it into something else. Joyful Jedi always has interesting comments and takes on this stuff. He says, it's interesting. I was just recently informed about a book called The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. And he links to a review of that. He says, metrics don't work for me in real life. I prefer to keep games and life as life. So many things are designed to capture our attention, and games are a way to do that. Metrics are a poor form of measuring lived experiences because it simplifies something that is complex to a number that you are trying to achieve or beat. Since you cannot win at life, unless you're playing the board game Life, I find the messiness and inexact science of it all to be something best to experience through a relative direction than a set plan. So even though work likes to gamify systems, I prefer the subjective pursuit of just trying to make life a little better for the person living it. This topic, as you can tell, strikes a nerve with me.
Yes, I can tell that it strikes a nerve with him, but not in a bad way.
No, look, I think it's a great and interesting perspective. I just think that there are certain people that have it in them to reach for the goal. And so they actually need the goal. Like the incremental progress isn't enough for them. And I would say that, for me, that was true. Interesting blend here, right? So when I first started counting calories in 2011, I needed the goal. I needed something to tell me, you have hit whatever, 1,700 calories. It's time to stop, right? I needed the wall. Somebody needed to put a wall in front of me so that I could see it, because otherwise I couldn't see it, and I had no concept of what that was. But after a couple of months, when the weight started falling off, I could just look forward to weighing myself the next day and understanding that, like, rolling 7-day average is really what's important, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about, you have to weigh yourself every day and judge your life by it. But I knew that the calorie part was a guide and it was still helpful, but it had transitioned to the incremental progress being the driver instead of needing the wall, because I had nothing subjective that I could rely on accurately to make the next step.
And it's funny that you say that, because in the episode last time, I talked about how the fitness app and the Peloton app have helped me with having a little incremental goal every day of hit my move goal, hit my exercise goal, whatever, do a workout every day. And that's been way more effective than just trying to trust myself to work out every day or whatever.
But those are still walls or things that you're trying to hit.
Right.
You're just doing it in an incremental fashion.
Right. You talking about counting calories reminds me of when I have tried to count calories in the past, I end up gamifying it for myself poorly, badly, where I'm only focused on the number to the detriment of my actual health, which is supposed to be the goal. And so when I've counted calories in the past, we'll just say it doesn't end well, and I have realized that that is a bad idea for me. I turn into a very angry person who is hungry all the time because I'm not eating the right foods to stay full and listen to my body. I'm only paying attention to the number.
Right. Well, you just answered your own question, which wasn't even really a question, but you're not eating the right foods. You're just paying attention to the number. And with education and help, I mean, I'm the same way, right? Because if there's cheese in the fridge, I'm probably going to eat it. And that's the wrong thing to do. Eating better foods that will fill you up, that are lower in calories, but still have fiber and protein and all of these things will solve that problem. Because that's what happened with me. I found myself gravitating towards those foods because I was like, man, I need to feel like I have something in my stomach, but I'm not getting there with cheese and crackers, and things like that.
But what I'm saying is, even when I was trying to eat the right foods on top of doing that, I just focused too much on the number and not on my hunger cues. So I have learned that for me, that is an area of life I should not gamify because it makes me miserable.
Right. And I think that's fair.
Yeah. I can see both perspectives here in it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, speaking of both perspectives, Jeremy said, I use Zombies Run as well. It worked great for me until I got bored with it. I tend to gamify a lot. It helps with my ADHD. I use Duolingo to keep learning languages, and the streak is something that motivates me. I am on 1,716 days of Kindle reading. It forces me to read for 30 minutes every day, or at least fall asleep while reading most days. That's Anitra. Streaks are the big thing for me. Once I lose a streak, I lose a lot of motivation very quickly. When I mow, this is wild. When I mow, I gamify it in my head by mapping the yard and doing different sections in different orders and different patterns, which helps me stay more present and not just in my head getting completely lost in the task. As a kid, this was one of the only ways I could get schoolwork or chores done without it being miserable. I still use it to this day for gym or working out to push myself to the next step. I set a deadline and push hard to make that deadline or goal of the next step. Admittedly, when I fail, it sucks, and I again often lose motivation and have to work back from scratch to start it all over again.
Joyful Jedi responded to that to basically say, I appreciate that perspective, and if it helps you, it sounds like this is great for you.
Right. And I mean, we just kind of talked about that in general, like the fact that even with both of us who are kind of okay with some gamification, there are aspects of it that work for me and there are aspects of it that work for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the more important part, is not getting so focused on the game that you lose perspective of what the game is actually for.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I found a link to Book It. Book It is still around.
Yeah. Speaking of old school gamification, Book It is still an existing program. You can enroll your kids pre-K through 6th grade. You can, in fact, enroll your kids and get other kind of swag. If you cannot, for whatever reason, go to Pizza Hut to claim a personal pan pizza. That is still the main reward for Book It.
I love it. I just love that so much. All right.
Yes.
So that is what we heard from the Family Gamers community about gamification. So we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about 5 things to look for in a game.
5-ish.
5-ish. Oh, Anitra's doing that thing again, everybody. We'll be right back.
And we're back.
All right, so what we want to do for our topic this week is talk about what to look for in a game. And this is a topic that is supremely subjective.
Personal. It's intensely personal. Like, yes, it is subjective, but it's a knowing yourself and the people you're buying games for.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true. Okay, so the subject can be yourself.
Right.
But the point that I'm trying to make is these are not hard and fast rules. These are just kind of some guidelines that I think are helpful with, making these kinds of decisions. Like if you're picking up a box off a shelf, presumably you pick it up because it looks interesting in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But then what kinds of things should you be thinking about when you're considering whether or not this is something you might actually want to purchase for your family, for a gift, for a birthday party, a Secret Santa, or whatever it might be?
Yeah. Even if you're choosing to read, listen to, watch a board game review, there's still something about the board game that is interesting to you to go down that path in the first place.
Right. I think that's true. I mean, I really, personally, when I put a lot of this together, I was really thinking in the context of window shopping for a game.
Yeah.
But I think all of that is valid.
Well, I think some of this is, if you're thinking about it, while looking up information about a game you've heard about, some of these things are, hey, this kind of thing works really well for me, or I want to like this kind of game and I just don't. And those are good things to keep in mind.
Yeah, I almost think if a game is being spoon-fed to you in the sense of you subscribe to a certain YouTube channel and that game is coming up as the next. In that use case, you're kind of looking for the immediate turnoffs.
Yeah, kind of.
Right? Because the game is sort of being sold to you in that process, right? So in that case, it's almost the flip of what we're sort of talking about here, but it's still absolutely valid.
Yeah.
So I think the best way to do this is to kind of talk about these things. I said 5. I mean, I have 5 explicit
Five-ish.
things, and then there's
a plus one.
Well, we'll call it an appendix.
Sure. Can we take it out?
That might hurt. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know how to make a good joke with that. I'm too
We
tired.
don't have appendicitis, so we'll leave it in. Sure.
I mean, the idea of the extra thoughts being inflamed is weird. This joke has gone too far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you're welcome, everybody.
Hey. So let's start at the top with the first thing that I came up with when thinking about what to look for in a game, and this is duration.
How long is the game supposed to last?
Mm-hmm. When I think about duration, it's kind of 2 things. One of them is how long is this game supposed to last, which is what you said, as opposed to how long is this game going to take to play the first time you play it.
Yes.
Right? And really what kind of goes along with this is the use case here. So are you giving this game to someone as a gift versus are you bringing it into your family? And if you're bringing it into your family, are you prepared to do the work that it's going to take to smooth out that duration? Because, and we've talked about this a million times before, depending on your family dynamic, you probably want to have a pretty good idea of how a game works before presenting it to kids.
Yeah. We have made that mistake a bunch of times. Like, we didn't learn from the first or even the second or third time. I think we've learned now, finally, now that our kids are all basically teenagers.
Yeah. So my general guidelines, and I'm trying to keep in mind the demographics of people who generally listen to this show or shows like it.
Sure.
Are if you are purchasing a game for a family of gamers, 90 minutes is your cap.
Generally speaking, unless the family is all teenagers and adults.
I would even make the argument that above 90 minutes, that is a game that they should be buying themselves.
Fair.
Because that level of commitment is a commitment that they really need to know about on their own.
Sure.
That's my personal take. Like, if somebody says Twilight Imperium is on my wish list and you're buying, like, that's not what we're talking about in this episode.
I mean, I was thinking more like Escape Room or something like that. We've definitely played some that lasted a lot longer than 90 minutes. And while it is a commitment, it's a one-time only. And so I'd still be okay with giving that to a gamery family.
Okay. I mean, I think that's fair. I wasn't really thinking of that kind of disposable.
And I get that. My brain went in a different direction.
Sure. So, and the other piece of this is if you are buying a game for people who are not really gamers, your cap is closer to like 45 minutes, maybe 60 at the absolute most.
Yeah. Monopoly notwithstanding, people are generally happier playing games that are going to be shorter.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it like this, right? So again, if you're buying a game for people who are not gamers, if you purchase something for them and that first play drags out, the likelihood of them going back to it, even if going back to it is going to be a shorter experience, is much, much lower.
Yeah, I agree.
And so the general guidelines on this that I'm throwing out there are if you're buying a game for non-gamers or if you're buying a game for your family and a lot of the people that are playing are non-gamers, 45 minutes is kind of the soft cap and 60 minutes is the hard cap.
Yeah. We've talked about this before with kids specifically.
Yes.
Like the younger the kids are, the shorter the game duration you should be looking at.
Right. And then if you're buying for a gamer family, 60 is the soft cap, 90 is the hard cap.
I think so.
That's the general guidance around this. And again, your situation may be, a little bit different, but when we talk about what to look for in a game, duration, this is kind of what I came up with.
All right. Well, how long a game takes to play is definitely not the only consideration. So what else should we think about?
Well, it's not. And again, all of these different things do work together. So the next thing on this list is theme. Okay, so if you have a heavily thematic game and you have, I don't know, a family that is obsessed with that theme, they might be, more patient and willing to experience a longer duration game, for example.
Just more interested in it in general.
Or whatever, right? And so I do want to make sure to note that these things that we're talking about don't necessarily stand alone.
Sure.
But these are all general guidelines. And we can point to many examples in our lives where theme moves the needle.
Sure.
And in fact, in the lives of many people who have asked for suggestions on games, it's like, okay, well, my boys really like superheroes. So what kind of a game can you suggest that has superheroes in it? They're really asking about the theme. And by the way, they're probably actually asking for Marvel and DC superheroes when they ask for something like that.
Generally speaking,
Probably. Probably.
Yeah.
So theme is incredibly important, and this is another use case where it's really important to know the audience that you're buying a game for. Our daughter loves dragons. Flamecraft was great. Now, there were other dragon games that weren't quite as good, so it's not a panacea. It doesn't solve every problem.
It doesn't stand by itself.
It doesn't stand by itself.
Our son already loved the Slay the Spire video game, and we bought him the Slay the Spire standalone board game, card game, deck building game, behemoth of a game.
Well, let me add this. This is a little pro tip for everybody out here. If there is a game that comes in a large box and you know that vendor, that publisher goes to shows, it is not uncommon for them to start offering significant discounts on their product at the end of a show because it's a big box and it's a pain in the butt to get home. That's how we got Shovel Knight. That's how we got Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
We paid like $60 for Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
Great
instead of a lot more.
Like 120.
Yeah.
Like it was half off. So that's a little pro tip in there. But theme is super important. There's even games like Megaland, which is a game from Red Raven that has a little bit of that endless runner video game style thing. There's the game Video Game Champion, which our youngest was completely obsessed with. You put any other theme on that game, zero interest.
He would not have stuck it
would
out.
never even make it to the table.
But
this is the game that he has.
That retro video game theme totally pulled him in. I'll say for you, I believe both of these games date to before we started ever doing the podcast, but you found that although you don't play D&D anymore, you really love the D&D setting as a theme. And so that's why Lords of Waterdeep and Role Player have been amazing hits for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think high fantasy in general, Forgotten Realms to be more specific, super interesting. You really like beautiful things, so you like Sagrada, right? I mean, similar kind of idea. And we talked about that. It's been a long time since we've done the compare and contrast on Sagrada and Role Player. That was a very long time ago. But you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, just think about when new Unmatched sets come out, how excited we get about certain characters which sort of represent themes. Yeah. So theme is something that's really important because it allows you to take a little bit of a risk in a game if you know that the game represents a theme that those people like.
And it doesn't only mean like serious heavy games either. We already kind of nodded to this, but I think of things like Zombie Kids Evolution or Throw Burrito, which because of the silly way they represent the theme, if somebody already loves Mexican food or dodgeball, like Throw Burrito is going to be a great game for them.
Sure.
It just is.
Sure. All right, so that's our second thing to look for in a game. Next, what do we have next?
Well, I feel like this is the big one. The type of game, or sometimes what we call the mechanics. There are certain mechanics that are just easier to understand, especially for the non-gamer. And there are some mechanics that you probably want to stay away from unless you're buying this for a gamer who already knows or enjoys this type of mechanic. So the more challenging ones are things like worker placement, action selection, the more complicated kinds of action selection, like ones that use a rondelle or ones that have bidding on order for doing actions, like all of those things. Those are great and interesting mechanics, but if someone has never played them before, they can really stop a game cold.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've done a lot of our Room to Grow series where we talk about a mechanic and an easy implementation of a mechanic and a harder implementation of a mechanic. And the whole point behind that is that a lot of these mechanics don't really make sense to the uninitiated, we'll say, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the smash hit that Flip 7 is, it's because people understand push your luck. And they get, the concept of, something like blackjack, right? That sort of idea translates extremely well. Even though it's not a basic card game, it's easy to understand. Simple roll and move is easy to understand.
Yes. There's been a real resurgence of games built around poker hands.
There's been a lot of trick takers.
Yeah.
Even.
So things like that are simpler, although I will say trick takers are also pretty divisive in that a lot of non-gamers know some basic trick-taking games, but a lot of non-gamers do not. And even a lot of gamers might not really be comfortable with trick-taking games. So that's another one to just know your audience before you plunk down the money on that game.
Yeah. I mean, another one that's really, really important is to understand, again, who you're buying this game for. Are they competitive people or not? Do you want to buy a cooperative game or a competitive game? What's the purpose, right? Not even the personalities of the people, but what's the purpose? If you're friends with someone, I don't know, I'm just making this up. You're friends with someone at work, and she says, oh, my husband and our son, we never spend time together because we're always arguing. I wish I could find something that we could do together that's more collaborative, right? Okay, you are now buying for a purpose if that's something that you want to do. So you might find an escape room game, or you might find, a game like Sky Team. Sky Team's a bad example because it's 2-player, but you get the idea.
Micro Macro.
Yeah, something like that, where it is cooperative because of exactly what you're trying to do for those people, what you're trying to help that family do in this kind of work together. You might have other families that really just enjoy rubbing, each other's face in it, and that's part of the fun, and that's okay too if that's the family dynamic. And in those cases, you might want to pick a Take That game or something that's a little bit meaner because it fits the dynamic of the family. But just in general, the mechanics of the game are something that you want to pair up with whoever the target audience is in your mind.
And don't forget, there are games that can kind of swing both ways, especially party games. There are ones that you can play just to have fun together, almost like an icebreaker sort of thing, but just a fun activity as a family. And some of those games also have scoring modes that turn them into competitive games.
All right, the next one on the list, and this kind of is sort of a mechanic thing, so, if you wanted to collapse these two and get back down to 5, my dear, you totally could. But this one is chance. Just in general, chance in games. A lot of people just don't like chance in their games, but a lot of people love the dice chucker, the strikes.
There are a lot of people out there who hate chanceless, luckless games like chess. They're like, I don't want to know exactly what's going to happen. I want some unpredictability there.
Right. One big thing about chance in games, which almost sounds counterintuitive until you kind of really think about it, the wider the age range of people that would be playing this game at the same time, the more chance is going to help that game.
Yes, the better off you're going to be with a luck-heavy game.
Because luck, chance, whatever, is completely separated from the skill of the people playing that game. Now, there are ways that you can make adjustments and try to work around the luck of it all, the chance of it all, but the pure chance, you roll a die, whether it is a 5-year-old rolling or a 15-year-old or a 55-year-old rolling a die, it's a chance cube.
It's still a rolled die.
Right?
Yeah.
And so across the age ranges, it provides a little bit of balancing, because you're kind of taking the skill out of it, which, again, if you are the type of person who likes a perfect information game or a game with no chance, it really bothers you. But for some of these use cases, it actually does make a lot of sense because it's a game, man. Just have some fun.
Yeah. All right. Our final thing to consider is player count.
Our fifth thing to consider.
Our fifth thing.
Yeah. I mean, player count almost sounds silly, but even though we're a family of 5, a 5-player game is usually not the best move for us because we're super busy and the odds of getting all of us around the table at the same time are actually fairly small. And if a game is bought for us, that is this is a 5-player game for your family to play, that actually puts pressure on us to get everybody around the table to play. You know what I mean? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
And part of that is a season of life thing.
Sure.
We used to play a lot more 4 and often 5-player games when our kids were in the age range of 6 to 12.
When they couldn't get out of the house without us.
Among other things, yes. Now that they are in the range of 12 to 17, honestly, there's only a handful of times we've played more than a 2-player game in the last couple of months.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Also, I want to point out that when our 17-year-old was 12, it was in the middle of a pandemic and literally nobody could go anywhere anyway. So we were desperate for something to do.
Sure, but we were playing 5-player games before that.
Yeah. I'm mostly joking around. I'm mostly joking. But again, I mean, this is just another one of those many things to think about when you're purchasing a game for your family, for another family. maybe you just know that in that family of 6 people or that family of 4 people, there's 1 or 2 people that are just not going to play games. And so this gift is specifically for 3 of them or 4 of them.
Yeah.
And so you don't even have to find a game that fits 5 or fits 6.
Yeah. I mean, we like recommending games that have a wide range of player counts, but not every game is like that. And that's okay. Giving a 2-player game to a family with a bunch of kids and be like, hey, this is for mom and dad to play, or one of you to play with 1 kid at a time, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Right, absolutely. So player count is kind of that 5th thing that we think is pretty important for you to consider when looking at a game to buy for your family or for someone else in your life.
All right, Andrew, you couldn't limit it to 5, so what else are we going to consider getting a game?
The reason why I didn't count this as one of the 5 is because this is not a specific thing about a game per se, right? You've got duration, theme, mechanics, whether or not the game has chance in it, and the player count of the game. This is something, it's true that it's about the game, but is really in relation to everything else. And this is, how is this game going to fit in your collection, right? Or how is this game going to fit in the collection of the person who's picking it up? If you have just a habit of buying roll and writes, do you really need to buy another roll and write? Because you've got 10 or 15 of them already. Do you see what I'm saying? So like maybe it does nail theme. It hits the duration. It's a roll and write, so you like it, right? It has no chance in it. You don't like chance. It's a solo game, right? You've nailed it on all 5 of them, but you've got 10 other games like it. Is this really a good idea to buy this game?
I mean, depends. Do I still have more room in the cube on the shelves for it? Then it's fine, right?
I'm not here to tell you that you can't buy a game, right? I mean, whether it's you or, well, maybe you, because we don't have any more room.
We
on
don't
our
have
shelves.
any more room.
But that's just one more thing to think about. And I didn't really think it was a specific game attribute, so I considered it an appendix, a non-inflamed appendix.
Yeah, I can see that. More of where does this game fit with what you already have? Does it fill a need that you felt in the past, or is it just like everything else?
I mean, or maybe it really just is perfect. And
you'd be like, you know what? I'm going to try this. And if it's as great as I think it is, I'm going to get rid of something else for it.
Right. So a lot of people have kind of talked about they have the 1 in, 1 out rule with their games as a larger collection. You could also just have that within a certain genre. Like, okay, I'm going to pick this roll and write up, but I'm going to have to pick a roll and write to get rid of. Right. That kind of thing. So those things make sense as well.
Yeah.
And that's the list. Those are the 5.1 things that
5-ish. We do 5-ish lists a lot.
Sure. That I thought would be, good things to look for when you're buying a game. Just some food for thought. And conveniently enough, I alluded to this first half of the show. This leads directly into our back talk question this week.
All right.
Are you ready, Anitra?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is the game type that you can't help buying?
So this really leans into that last ish part, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I will tell you mine. Mine is 45-minute or less 2-player games.
Yeah, we do have quite a few of those.
Super attractive to me, right? Like Sky Team is the longest it gets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, especially if it's
Unmatched,
got a small table presence. I mean, that is the go-to for me.
A lot of abstract 2-player games that play pretty quickly. Yep. A whole lot of those.
Yep.
I can definitely see that.
Yep, that's mine.
My weakness, where I won't say I'm never going to say no, but it's real easy to weasel your way in, is a small box solo game or cooperative game that can be played solo.
Sure. So we talked about Adventurous first half of the show.
We did. Button Shy is really good at these, but they're not the only ones. I also think of Grove and Pocket Paragons, which is not solo, but is very small and does have a solo mode, and it's very fast. I think of the Four Seasons collection. Winter and spring don't have solo modes, but fall does. So stuff like that where I'm just like, oh, but it's small and it's cheap and I can play it by myself and no one else needs to know. No one else needs to play it with me.
Sure. A Gentle Rain would be another example.
Yeah. That is definitely a big weakness for me.
Yeah. Well, I agree, Anitra, that is definitely a weakness of yours. And if I stumble across a game that is a small box solo game, I run through these things. Player count, solo, chance, don't really care, theme, small, game type, small. Duration under an hour. And I buy it for you. And that's kind of where it goes. So your selection of small box solo games seems right on point.
And you know the good news about that? Since they're small boxes, I can get a whole lot of them before I run out of room.
Well, that's why I bought you that thing. What's that thing called? The quiver. Yeah, that's why I got you that. So you can just stuff it full of small box games.
I think it's wallet games only at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Well, you can tell us what game type you can't help but pick up for yourself or for your family on our Back Talk channel on Discord or in the Facebook community. Where would people find those things, Anitra?
Well, get to the Discord by going to thefamilygamers.com/Discord. Get to the Facebook community by going to thefamilygamers.com/community. Or follow the links in this episode and every episode of the Family Gamers podcast.
You can also just go to Facebook and search for the Family Gamers community. Of course, you can find us all over social media at Family Gamers AA. You can find us on X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, or YouTube.
How about Pinterest? Can they find us on Pinterest?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Of course, you can always email us, Andrew@thefamilygamers.com.
Anitra@thefamilygamers.com.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the show, tell your friends about the show, and leave us a review at Apple Podcast or whatever your podcast subscription source is. You can also find us on Amazon Music, on TuneIn, and on Spotify.
Can I toot my own horn for
sure, horn
10
tutor.
seconds?
Yeah, go ahead.
You may notice, if you look at your podcast app, that you're not seeing the Family Gamers logo. I finally figured out how to do episode-specific images in the podcast feed, I'm so excited.
I'm so proud of you. So does that show up on YouTube Music? Does it give you the actual episode picture? There you go.
Yes.
Great segue.
It's
Music
great.
For the Family Gamers podcast is provided with permission from You Bred Raptors.
The Family Gamers is sponsored by First Move Financial. Go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and learn how the team at First Move Financial can help you pile up the victory points.
Thanks so much to First Move Financial for sponsoring another episode of the show. Well, Anitra, it is the beginning of May. We have a month to redeem ourselves from April. It's going to be a little bit less busy.
We can't possibly do worse, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Let's play some games.
All right, let's play some games. So until next week, everybody, play games with your kids.